We are in silly season. Of course, the summer has just only began. It's literally a week since our game against Everton, a game that saved the Toffee's skin, and we've already been linked to a number of players. Of course, on cherry picking, we did mention that we have been linked to Bright Asai Samuel from Fenerbahce, but there is also two more rumours that have come out for players from the same club, and it looks as if the Cherries might be looking to raid Leeds. Again, like I say, it's rumours, it's things that are circulating around the press at the moment, and how much truth is in it? I honestly don't know. I'm just reporting and giving my verdict on these. So, the first player who the Cherries have been linked with is a left winger and a very, very small player, actually, in stature, Wilfried Gnonto, who was fantastic for Leeds when he come down here. He was the standout player for them, and somebody that a lot of Leeds fans hold very, very highly. So, of course, an Italian left winger. He did play for Italy on no fewer than 10 occasions. So he's got international pedigree there as well. He started his career out in Italy, as you could probably expect, at a club called Baveno, then went to Suno, and then he was at Inter Milan for 8 years. Um, After that, he must have left Inter Milan and gone to Zurich, where he started in their B team, Zurich 2 as it's known, and then went to the main team where he played 65 times, scored 9 goals. Of course, since 2022, in fact, September 2022, he's joined Leeds United on a 5-year deal. So that means that he's not going to be cheap. Leeds aren't going to be pushed over for Gnonto, and neither should they, to be perfectly honest. I think, he's a fantastic player. He's got a lot of prospects. He's only 19 years old. And he scored 2 goals from 24 games. He's already been part of the Italy squad and he's already got a first international goal as well. So he's a big prospect. Things that might stop this. There's a certain Juventus who have been linked to Gnonto as well. Now, of course, I don't know how their standing in Italy is gonna go along with that. It might scupper any deal, but at the same time, Juventus or AFC Bournemouth, let's be real. Juventus are a big name in world football, and he might choose to go there over us if that opportunity is presented to him. But he's a player that I rate really highly. He never stopped giving it his all for Leeds last season. In a Leeds side that did eventually get relegated, I think he was probably one of the only ones that could come out with a little bit of shining light. Of course, left wing, we could say we've got Jaden Anthony there in that position. Ryan Christie could play there as well. Do we need somebody in that position? Well, Gnonto is a great prospect, and therefore I think it would make sense if the opportunity arose to actually make a bid for him. But like I say, he's not going to be cheap. He is going to be expensive. He joined Leeds on an undisclosed fee. I'm guessing we're probably going to have to pay 20, 25 million upwards for Gnonto. But then again, relegation to the championship might dictate that as well. They might think, right, okay, we need to get some money back in to actually make an assault on the championship, which I think they'll do very, very well next season. There's no, it could be that Gnonto decides that he wants to actually stay at Leeds to fight and help them, like Jefferson Lerma did with ourselves, help them get help Leeds get back into the Premier League. So there might be that aspect from him as well. So we'll have to see. But it's a definite yes from me. But providing it's sensible, it's within our wage budgets, it's within our scope, and that I think he'll be an outstanding player to bring in. But the other player as well that we're linked with from Leeds United again says Crysencio Summerville. I do apologise. Any Leeds fans who are watching might be able to correct me on that one. Again, I think he's a talented player. He does play up front. He's a winger again. But he can play in a forward position. Has been at Leeds since 2020, scored 4 goals in 28 games, but has really only broken into the Leeds side this season, to be fair. Before that, he is a Dutch international. He's only in the under 21s at the moment, hasn't made the full squad as yet, but was at Feyenoord. And from Feyenoord, he didn't play any games for them, but he went on loan to Den Haag and Dordrecht as well. I do apologise if I butchered that name as well. But from what I've seen of him, he looks very, very talented. Two very small players, neither tall in stature. So to be honest, it probably does signify which way we're going to be. And let's be honest, we've never been really one of those teams, since Eddie's got hold of us, where we've thrown balls into the box. And I think Gary O'Neill's really done the same with that. We're not one of those long ball teams to try and get somebody's head on it. We are a team that likes to play good, attractive football. And I think Summerville, I think Gnonto would fit that bill. Again, I think he's one of those players who you could certainly say wasn't really at fault for Leeds' relegation. There's a lot more fingers that could be pointed. And what I would suggest is certainly going over to Square Ball, to have a look at that, because they will make it quite clear who is at fault for that. You can look at Patrick Bamford not really being good enough. You can look at the back line as well. There was rumours as well, Christensen as well, but I just don't think that would be a good signing at all. But with regards to Somerville and Gnonto, they'd be excellent. In fact, against West Ham, he Somerville actually provided assist for Gnonto's first goal for Leeds United as well. So that really does, bode well. Both players know each other. Both players play well together. Where will they fit into our setup? It's an interesting one. I think Gnonto, you could probably say, would be on the left wing. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think he would be excellent in the side. A bit unfair on Jaden Anthony, really, that maybe he won't get as much game time. Ryan Christie as well. You could probably say it's really going to be a mix. We're going to have a real quality wingers, because we've got Jaden Anthony, we've got Ryan Christie, we've got Tavernier, we've got Atara. I'm sure there's probably some that I missed off. And of course, David Brooks, he's like a new signing. So Wilfried Gnonto, I would say, is the sort of player that we feel, or I feel, would fit into the squad. But are we overloading ourselves with too many wingers? That's really the question there. Somerville, I can only imagine, although he can play on the wing as well. I reckon he would probably play a little bit more up front. Could he be the man that plays just in front of Dom Solanke? Or is he too similar to Dom Solanke? I got the question. I got the feeling it might be the second one. But how does everything transition? What has Gary O'Neill got in his mind, and how he's going to play these two players together? We could have two very, very talented players playing alongside each other, maybe in a 4-4-2. Maybe he might change that formation next season. You never know. Might go a little bit more attacking. Maybe just three at the back, and um, two up front, maybe one just behind the other. It'll be interesting to see how, if these two signings, and if there is truth in this. I must say, I have to say, you know I really only listen to the reputable sources, which is Chris Temple and Mark McAdam, on definite things. But it's always quite interesting to hear these rumours floated about. I know that there is a number of people, journalists out there that put out a lot of stories, and none of them ever really come true. Um, I've seen stuff from Alan Nixon at the Sun, who sometimes is quite reputable, sometimes isn't. Sometimes I've had called him out, and sometimes he's decided he's going to block people that do say that, what's going on with this one, Alan? He's told us this 3-4 weeks ago, but he hasn't got any answers for it. But by the by, let's not deviate off the track. Um, I think these would be good signings. Definitely two good signings. I still think that our priority, we've got Zabania at, in the centre back position. We've got Senesi in the centre back position. I think we need to fight hammer and tong to keep Senesi if anybody is interested. Um, I would still bring in Jack Stevens. Um, with regards to the left back position, I think you've got to look at Vina. I think he's been fantastic. Vina is a definite shoe in. And for right back, I would get somebody else in. Smithy is not getting any younger. I've seen that on the SofaScore team of the worst team of the year. He's got nominated. I don't believe that one bit. Don't believe that one bit. This is the same SofaScore that have put in a Bournemouth player, a Fulham player, Nottingham Forest player, but no Leicester and no Everton players. So how that works, I do not know. I think it's the most ridiculous thing going. So Adam Smith, don't listen to it. It's a load of rubbish. But personally, I do think we need somebody in that right back position that maybe can provide us that bit more longevity. Because Smith is getting no younger. And somebody that Smith can probably help along, and somebody who, let's just be honest. Let's get a younger version of Adam Smith in, because Adam Smith's been fantastic. That's what we need to look for. A younger, if you could morph Adam Smith but make him a lot younger, I would say, yeah, that would be perfect, because he's been fantastic for this football club. And I just think that maybe the Premier League and the intensity, and plus if he gets an injury, it might be difficult. Ryan Fredericks is, of course, he's around, but is quite injury prone. So I think we need to look at alternatives there. But I would say get Jack Stevens in, get Vina in, and get a right back. And these two, if one of them can be prolific up front, of course it would have to be Summerville. Or if Solanke's firing on all cylinders with Summerville just behind him, I think that's the perfect answer. And maybe that's all we really need. Maybe that's all we really need. Do we replace Jefferson Lerma? Perhaps, but again, it needs to be the right player. Kondogbia as well, of course, was the rumor. That rumor was going round. He seems to have calmed down a little bit over the past couple of days. Since we did that video, in fact. But to be fair, I think he's tough. He's strong. He's a defensive midfielder, and he would provide that fluidity for certainly Phil Billion and David Brooks to maybe go forward in that midfield trio. Maybe Lewis Cook instead of David Brooks might be in there. We've got bundles of quality all over the pitch, and it's just these tweaks that are going to put us up to the next level. Please do let us know what you think, and by all means, if you would like Gnonto here, if you would like Summerville here, and who else we've been linked to, because we're going to be linked to absolutely everybody. To be fair, um, and this is no word of a lie, somebody on Facebook the other day was linking us to Lionel Messi. It's not going to happen, mate. It's not going to happen. But yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting summer. It's going to be interesting, and to be fair, I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm not going to take much notice of all these rumours. I'll do videos about them, but I'm not going to take much notice until they come through the door or Mark McAdams turning around and saying it's close. Because let's be fair, the amount of players that we were linked to last season, Lewis O'Brien, Ikatora, I'm trying to think who else we was linked to. There were so many, it was ridiculous. But how many of them come off? Probably about two. About two, I think, come off. One of them being Tavernier. He come off, of course, and I'm trying to think of who the other one was. I think it was Ryan Fredericks, actually. Ryan Fredericks, of course. Senesi come out of nowhere. Nobody even judged that. Neto come out of nowhere. Nobody said anything about that either. So take it with a pinch of salt. But Leeds fans as well, do let us know what you think of these two players, and tell us if there's any players that we should take off Leeds United's hands. You'll probably tell us Patrick Bamford, but no, we're not too keen on him. But until the next show, up the cherries, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining us.